All right. Hello, and let me get this up. Hello, and welcome to the Table Talk Otaku podcast. My name is Okami. I come from a small town in Oklahoma. Right now, live in a decent sized town in Pennsylvania. Um, I'm a Christian, which affects all my views, especially today. Um, and that's about it for today, at least.
You don't say.
Who are you?
I am Pat. Just Pat's fine. And I just made it back from an on call 5 minutes ago. Oh, and look who we
Hawk.
got here.
I didn't know if he would join today or not.
Apparently tomorrow's a holiday, so
Mm. Wait, you get holidays off? Lucky.
and sometimes
I mean, I technically do if I'm not on call. So, what holiday would be graced with?
President's Day.
Oh yeah,
Or is it whose birthday? Is it George Washington's? I
I think it's
think.
both.
Well, yeah, I know it's both. I was just saying it's made after a president's birthday. So I think that's it. Or we
But
can
I'd say
just say it's
Trump.
it's Trump's. It's always
I
Trump's,
was
no
gonna
matter
say
what.
I'm surprised Trump hasn't made it to where like his birthday is the new president's day yet.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if he did. That'd be another funny cap in his hat, but an unwelcomed one.
Par for the course.
Yeah. Welcome, Shutters. Glad you can make it. We originally weren't going to have one because Aru freaked me out when he put in his announcements that I might stream on the weekend, and I was like, oh yeah, his birthday's tomorrow. And then all of a sudden, I had messaged him. He's like, oh, not this weekend, and I'm like, oh, okay. Well, that makes that. So next weekend we will not have a podcast, but Aru is live. So go check him out. I believe he's live with his. Oh no, he's not live yet. I wonder if something happened.
Yeah. Friday I gifted him Helldivers 2, and we were playing it earlier
Boop.
today.
But he gets a shout out anyway. What, you said you were playing Helldivers 2? Yeah.
Yeah, I gifted him for his birthday the other day, and we were playing it earlier.
Oh, okay. Yeah. They are playing. They just aren't streaming it.
Uh-huh.
Good to
Sometimes
know.
you just need some quality time together, you know.
Yeah. They get a lot of that. But I get it. They don't live together like me and Ange do, so I can understand. But yeah, Aru is definitely he might be streaming tomorrow. I don't know. Now I'm confused. So, but his birthday is tomorrow. I do know that. But today we got a big one. Well, not a big one. I would say it's one that's been a while coming. I've had a few
Is there anything
people.
bigger?
I mean, to me, no, but to others, yeah. Well, it's not everyone cares about it, but everybody that has joined the podcast has had questions that I didn't answer because that we weren't talking about it that day most of the time. And it'd be cool if they showed up, but I doubt all of them would today. But we'll see. But today we're talking about my beliefs. And I say my beliefs because for some reason, even though my beliefs are literally just about Christianity, is literally just the Bible. That's all I believe. I don't believe anything else. If you read the Bible, there you go. Don't add anything. Don't take anything out. So I don't like the Catholic texts that they throw in there from the Creed of Nicaea second. I don't like that and stuff like that. I like just the straight Bible as it was published. Yes, by King James when he wanted it done in when he wanted it done in the old English.
He
Um,
wants it that way.
yeah, I mean, but it was already in Greek. They had it fully. It was already canonically correct. And then he just wanted it in Old English, and now it's since been translated out of Old English. So, but yeah. So my views today on that is what we'll be talking about. Got like some different points to go through, but at any point, I don't care what it's for. In the comments, I'll try to read them if we get a few. And then in any of y'all stop me and ask a question because I usually know the answer on this topic at least. That or I can figure it out real quick. I will have, and I'll take the table down for a second to show you all what I'm looking at. Oh, that is not what I'm looking at. Here it is. That's just the background of my music. But I've got our stream, which he's not streaming right now, so I'll exit. And I use blueletterbible.org. The only reason I use this place is because you can go to any passage in the Bible, click on the verse, and it shows you the literal translated word. And you can click on the translated word, see the Greek, and if it's not Greek, you can see whatever language it was. So, like, there's 3 languages in the Bible. There's Hebrew, Greek, and Aramaic. So you can see which one it is. The KJV version, the outline, the definition by the people that made it, and everything. The Greek lexicon's in here. It's just the easiest way to see everything. And it's called blueletterbible.org. If everybody wants to, check that out at some point, you can. I'm going to have it in the background, but don't feel like y'all have to do that. It's just something I reference. If you're wondering where the Greek word comes from, I'm not that good at Greek. It's from that website. So, which is,
If you're not good at Greek, I can't take anything you say seriously.
well, I mean, yeah, but except the Bible's not in Greek, so it's in Greek, Hebrew, and Aramaic. Only the New Testament's in Greek, and most of the New Testament was actually written, or 2 of the Gospels were written in Aramaic, not even in Greek. But yeah,
I can imagine at some point it was probably an old Italian too.
no, they didn't do Italian. That's the misconception. The Catholic Church really screwed over a lot of the original text. Or I shouldn't say that. They didn't screw over the original text. They screwed over the original languages because they wanted a Latin Bible. But the Bible was never in Latin. It was just translated to that.
We got machine translations.
Yeah. Now, some of the earliest translations are in Latin. So, yes, those, some Catholic churches do have like original, like with my hand quotations in the air, original Bibles, but that's because they're just some of the earliest ones, because the Catholic Church happened to be in power at the time. But the original, also with hand quotations in the air, are Greek letters from church to church and from person to person, not necessarily a whole book put together. So that's why you won't find the Bible like all in one spot. And I can explain why I believe in a text that's not all in one spot and not put together, and God didn't come down from heaven and say, "This is the book, you must believe this." Because that is not how God does things, but we shall dive into it. So I've kind of answered it a little bit. Our second or our number two, I always have small introductions as number one, but our number two topic for today is what is actual Christianity. And like I said before, I say actual Christianity because Catholicism does not count. Mormons or Latter-day Saints do not count. Jehovah's Witnesses do not count. Seventh-day Adventists do not count.
Whoa.
Yeah.
You
Not
can't just come up here and say that some of my beliefs don't matter, man.
they don't. I'm sorry. Episcopals, Methodist,
Don't bring Episcopalians into this.
Baptist, Protestant, whatever you want to say, any kind of denomination does not matter for Christianity. In the
That's not very American.
The actual translation for Christian is little Christ. It is what they called the early church when they were killing them in the streets, was little Christ. They would say, there goes that Christian, and whenever they would say that, they were mocking them, saying, there goes that little Jesus or whatever.
So
And they would go, in what?
Your whole name is an insult.
Yes, it was. Well, I mean, originally I was named after Christian Slater, so no.
Dude.
But yeah.
Well, what was he named after?
I don't know. Maybe he was named after Christianity. I don't know.
Born to be a Jesuit.
So what I believe in is the 72 books in the Bible, and not a book more, not a book less. I do not believe in things like the Book of Enoch, which do come with a lot of times the original Pentateuch, the first 5 books of the Old Testament. In a lot of the, like, even in the Dead Sea Scrolls, there was the Book of Enoch was in it, and it was like said to have been, I mean, and it might even been a telling of Enoch's journey with God back in Genesis. I think that was 5. Let me make sure. Like I said, I will. Yeah, Genesis 4 and 5. You will find Enoch. He's the son of Cain, but he or at least his family passed down a book that he had written, and it is not necessarily against the Bible. It is just not canon. It's not like history. But I do view the Bible as completely inerrant, without error, and historical text. Partially the reason for this is because there is no dispute on most of the historical context of Scripture. In fact, a lot of historians, when they were writing ancient history, used the Bible's original text to help lay the land out and to also help lay out who was king at the time, who was in power, who wasn't, because they're so detailed, especially in the book of Daniel and other places in the Bible, like in Genesis with Lot and Abraham. They're so descriptive that you can actually tell which land they're in and where Canaan is, which is Israel, and all that. So they're very descriptive in the Bible, and therefore I believe it is 100% accurate in historical text. I also believe it is inerrant, which that means without error. It is the be-all, end-all of my beliefs. And, if I do something or say something against the Bible, then I'm, outside of the beliefs that I actually carry. Now, does that mean that I like it? No. The Bible's not made for me. I'm not the point. In fact, it doesn't even take me into account. I just believe in it, and therefore I believe in the promise Jesus gave us and God gave us and everything like that. So that's what I believe is the Bible. Now, do I believe that there's more to a relationship than just the Bible with Jesus? Yes, but I'm not like I can't teach that to other people. That's something you do yourself. I mean, that's God's that is you and God. That is not me. And I don't think anyone should have a say in that most of the time, other than to do the stuff that he already told us we can do in the Bible. Like if we see somebody in sin, we go and tell them about it, but only if they're a Christian. If they're not a Christian, they already know. It's not going to help them to tell them that. We just try to love those people. All right. So that's number 2. And that's really all I had. Any questions so far about that point?
I
What
really I can't think of any questions. I usually just come with something on the spot. So if I ever
Yeah.
have any inquiries, I'll make them.
And I feel like we're eventually going to jump into why Catholicism and all that's not in there, but yeah. All right. Number 3, I just had answering questions just to tell me to stop in case anybody already had that. But hot take of the week, which is going to be probably this whole thing, will be a few topics we discuss, and that is the Bible canon, which is the one that most people have a problem with if they try to be scientific. Everybody always points out, well, how can you believe something that's written by over 30 different authors, passed down through generations? How do you know that's even right? How do you know that's what they wrote? And the answer to that, and to a lot of biblical scholars' dismay, and also to the people who ask the questions' dismay, is God. Like, I can't. When a miracle happens, I don't go, "Oh, that was an act of science." And here's how to explain it. I go, "Oh, that was a miracle. It's outside of science. It's supernatural. God did it." Now, can I try to explain it? Kind of. The first 5 books were written by Moses. He did have them. They were finished by Joshua, who also wrote the 6th book, and they've been passed down through that generation. How did Moses write about something that he did not live, like in Genesis? Well, it is very common knowledge, at least when we talk about other texts around this time, especially even looking at one of the oldest texts ever written, the Epic of Gilgamesh, that these stories, or what I view as fact, Genesis, Exodus, all the way up to Moses, which he was part of Genesis and Exodus a little bit, he was passed down from generation to generation, either by written word or by word of mouth, and were told by every parent since the beginning of time. Adam and Eve told their son Cain and Abel, about it. And then, when Cain killed Abel, he got banished. And people still say he walks this earth to this day, but I don't know about that one.
Maybe easy to hide.
Yeah, I mean, you live that long, you kind of figure out how to. But then they had another kid. Why am I blanking? I should know all this. Seth. And it goes on and on. Seth down to Enosh, Noah, and you get the whole thing. But they told the story, and the reason we think this is absolutely true is because there's only 1,500 years, if you do the math, from Adam to Noah. And guess what? Noah lived 930 of those years. Adam was there. He could have just talked to people. He just told them about it. Then we get to Noah. There's one descendant named Methuselah, who lives all the way from the time of Adam. They knew Adam all the way to the time of Noah. They knew Noah. And that is where the big, they were part of the same family. They knew each other. Methuselah met Adam. Noah met Methuselah. They were able to keep the story straight for that long. Noah, same thing. There's only 1,500 years between Noah and the next big one, which is Abraham. And Abraham got down to, all the way to Moses. And then we write I believe it's a total of 3,500 years. And from Adam to Noah, or to Moses, Adam to Moses. And they were able to keep the story straight because two people in that time period lived upwards of 900 years. Both Adam and Methuselah living the longest, lived 900 and something years. So that's where that canon comes in for Genesis. And then we get Moses writing the first 5. And then so on and so forth. We could get into the others, but that's the one everyone always asks about because they're like, how do you get something that far back? Well, there you go. That's the most scientific way I can explain it. And then from there, we have the Dead Sea Scrolls and other things, which are old ancient texts that they try and date. Again, we've talked about this before. I don't believe in dating, especially carbon dating, because it's so random and not very... it's not like a set science. If it were completely set, they would know how much carbon something starts out with, and then also know how much it would change to that point. But they can't know that something, from billions of years ago, they can't know how much carbon that started out with. They can guesstimate all they want, but they can't know it. They'd have to go back a billion years and then test the carbon. It wouldn't work. The environment in that amount of time would change too much. So if you're following along, I believe the world is only about 7,000 to 8,000 years old. Now, do I believe that it shows that age? No, because I don't believe God made a new world. I believe God made an old world just appear. Not that he made it before, but that he made the world that already had age on it. He didn't make a world and then all the rocks are, a year old. He made a world and the rocks were already formed. They're already billions of years old. He just made it appear. I don't know how else to explain that. I don't know why people have really hard time thinking of that. It's find anything that's 2 years old. If it was gone and then appears 2 years old, it's 2 years old. It's not 3 seconds old just because you made it disappear and appear. I believe the world is old, but I believe that's because God made the world that way. He made it appear old. Not that he's trying to deceive us, but that it was the best living condition for humans. To make the world old, not to make it a molten lava thing that gets crushed and then we all die because he made us on top of molten lava, or something like that.
He'd have a little more foresight than that.
Yeah, I believe he's God. He can do whatever he wants. He can make a world that's already a billion years old just appear. He doesn't have to have something age. He is not a part of time. time does not matter to him. And that is another thing that gets people a lot is people are like, well, how is he, how is he this many billions of years old? And I'm like, what are you talking about? There is no time where he
You're
is.
a wizard god.
Yeah, he's literally a space wizard, and not even space. Like he exists outside of our plane. Like he's God. He can do whatever. And like I don't know how else I can explain that more to people, but there's no science to explain that. But I don't know why people try to put him in a box like that.
The only problem that I have with that is maybe it's I was taught wrong whenever I was in church whenever I was young, but people like to say he made the world in 7 days.
Correct.
But I it's weird to say
Wait,
that whenever
he
the
made the
concept of a
world, or
day-
he made everything?
well, everything in 7 days.
Yeah,
No, he did not. See, that's the thing. If you
That's what they
read Genesis, well, I'm saying this is why a lot of people have a hard time. Even Christians, even churches have a hard time. There's the first verse. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Does not say a day or time. Does not give anything. Verse 2, the earth was without form and void. Darkness was over the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God was hovering over the face of the waters. Still no time, still nothing there, still no day and night. And then, verse 3, God said, let there be light, and there was light. Verse 4, God said, saw the light was good. God separated the light from the darkness. Verse 5, here's where we get time. God called the light day, and he called the darkness night. And there was evening, and there was morning, the first day. All right, so the first day, he literally just creates light and darkness. The earth is without shape, there's nothing there. And then, verse 6, let there be an expanse in the midst of the waters, let them separate the waters from the waters, meaning the sky from the, or at least we believe the sky from the earth. And then he separated it, making atmosphere, called the expanse heaven, and there was evening, and there was morning, the second day. And now he gets into dry land and everything on the third day. So that's the thing, is whenever people bring that up, the 7 days thing, there was no time at the beginning. So I don't know what you're about to ask, because I'll let you finish now, but if that changes anything for you, that's a church problem. And I don't know why churches have such a hard time with it. But does that change anything with what you were going to say, Cobalt?
I mean, it changes very little.
Okay, then go ahead.
That sounds like the planet, and that kind of sounds like the planetary body already existed during, or was created during the 7-day time frame, like Earth.
If it was, would it matter?
Yes.
Why?
Because the problem with saying that Earth was just or the rocks and everything was just created old is that's not
what?
That's
not a
the way
you
that you're
can't think of it.
Things is the effects of time on those things.
Correct, and God can't imitate that completely correctly, being God himself.
There would be no reason to.
Yeah, there would.
Because it doesn't, like,
it makes a perfect living space for us and everything else on Earth.
You wouldn't need to replicate the effects of age in order to create the perfect living space, that would actually be more complicated than
In
just
our
creating
minds, we wouldn't, but
conditions
we're
that-
thinking of a small plane. He's thinking of everything and every one at all at once. He's also thinking of the end of time at the same time he's creating the earth because he lives outside of time, therefore he's always existing.
Think like a terrarium.
See, the thing that I have, like, people are like, it doesn't need to. And I'm like, I get that. I understand with our small brains and everything, how we want to understand the world because we're only looking at it from one, part of ourselves and as ourselves. We're not looking at it as a god.
It's like trying to
It's
look at
like,
it's like trying to look at the fifth dimension like as a fifth dimensional being would, but we're only third dimensional.
but at the
creatures.
same time, I'm not saying that's how God did it. I don't know. It literally, like, I don't know how to interpret all this text here. I'm just saying this is what I believe. Like, I can believe something and not know how it works.
That is word for word what it's saying. So
Yeah, I like it literally just says there's a earth without form and void. Why is it there? It didn't say he created it, and stuff, I don't know that answer. But I believe it. Why? Because it's in the text. Like, I mean, and like people are like, you just believe something that's in a text? Well, what else am I supposed to believe when people are telling me they know something is billions of years old, but they don't know how they got to that number? And also they can't pinpoint it. I'm like, okay, so you just don't know, but you all of a sudden you believe it. Like, yes, it's showing effects of age, but you don't know what happened to that rock over billions of years. What if a volcanic eruption happened right next to it, which, yes, completely changes its makeup and will change its age? But they don't take that into account all the time. They try to take into account ice ages and other things like that, but then they don't. They just say these things happen.
The easiest way to determine that sort of thing.
I'm not saying it's not.
Is to like figure out how long something's been encased in a block of ice, right? Basically removed from.
How do you tell if the rest of the world was encased in a block of ice, though, and then just melted away? You don't. Because we wouldn't be able to see that. I believe there was an ice age after the flood that encased essentially the whole world in a block of ice other than Noah's boat. Like, they can't determine these things because they don't know what happened to the land. They can try, and we have text that actually helps, but only helps up to what, 3,000 years ago, I think, because not all the text is correct. And then also they got to determine from where the place is because they don't know which places it affects and everything.
I thought they had some historical records from some societies like that go back like 4,000 or 5,000 years, don't they?
But can they trust them? Because like some of the Greek, some of the ancient Egyptian texts is all fictional. Like it's telling of Horus and other things like that. How are they supposed to know what that is and what they're trying to explain? Whether I believe Horus is a explanation, like in Greek mythology and stuff, is an explanation for why things happen or not, it still doesn't help us unless we talk to one of those people and completely understand what they're saying. And I'm not saying that that's a wrong thing. I'm just saying to say I don't know, but then to claim you do, and then say you don't know, is what you're telling me. That's every scientist I've ever talked to is like, you're wrong. Okay, what do you believe? They tell me what they believe, and I'm like, how do you know this? And they're like, well, I don't know. That's just how we do the science experiments and stuff. And you base it off of what? And then they tell me what they base it off of. And I'm like, so if you base it off of a creation worldview, would it change everything that you're talking about? And they're like, yeah, it would change it all. I'm like, so you're just basing it off of one view and then determining that's the correct view regardless of anything else that's going. And they're like, well, yeah, but we believe it's correct. And I'm like, okay. Like that's why I don't like a scientific classroom that doesn't explore every theory. But at the same time, I also understand you can't do that with like kids. But at the same time, if you're going to claim something is truth, I don't want any holes. I don't want missing link without telling me, without explaining it. And then when I ask for the explanation, there isn't one. But then I have explanations for everything. And just because you don't like the explanation of God, it at least is an explanation.
I mean, the ice ring dating is pretty.
How do you know?
What? Because, oh god, because stuff like volcanic eruptions and weather isn't going to affect that. It's annual weather patterns.
If the Earth all of a sudden decided to explode from the ground and from the top, covering the top in ice and the ground in magma, like I believe that they did with the flood, because the flood isn't water. It actually doesn't even say it's all water. It says that the ground erupted as well. Now you're going to say, now I get it.
That would change things by 1 year. That's all.
No, it changes things by millions of years, because if you date a rock that's near an eruption, it immediately gains millions of years of time. They've done studies on that. They have done several studies on that.
Sorry. So say again, how old does Christianity claim Earth to be?
Christianity, or what I believe? Like again, yeah, about 7,000 to 8,000 years, give or take. Like maybe 4,000 in between there.
Iceberg age readings is probably the easiest thing to go off of, because
but okay,
by the fewest.
You're gonna have to explain one thing for me for this. That if the world was covered in ice and then melted rapidly, except for where the icebergs are, how do they determine that as far as age without there being a rapid change in age, in like environment?
So the way that you date icebergs is it has layers.
I agree. And I believe it can be melted by God.
Cycle and every cooldown cycle gives you a layer.
Yes.
To be counted.
And what if
you had an extra super hot and then rapid freeze? That would be one layer.
Yeah, so what if the world didn't have ice? Is what I'm saying. There was no ice before the flood.
For there to be that many layers.
No, there wouldn't, because the ice was covered in ice. And then it melted slowly due to the environment change. Of the flood, Pangea happened. Pangea got destroyed and plates moved. God literally moved the earth. He said that in the text, that he separated man, and he did this in a day while we were alive. And so that's what I'm saying. This is where I bring God into it, and that's the explanation. I can't, like, people are like, okay, I get your argument. I'm just saying that God just deciding to move Earth. like literally break apart continents in a day, doesn't have anything to do with your argument, and it doesn't hurt your argument either. It just makes it to where, okay, well, now I don't know what you're working with. I can't see exactly. That's my explanation is God's on some things. Now I do.
I was looking into the radiocarbon dating thing, and and what I've seen from the few things I've skimmed is that what you're talking about, how that a volcanic eruption can affect carbon dating. It says that some trees in the area were known to absorb CO2 that added carbon from like 6,000 years ago, which it doesn't say millions, but it does say like 6,000 years.
Yeah, I'm saying that doesn't. I'm not saying that adds just. Um, yeah. I'm saying that. What if that's the whole Earth?
And and like I said before, to quote the actual USGS.gov, the radiocarbon dating is accurate about 50,000 years
All
from
right.
just in general, and that's
Yeah.
just charcoal to date for the volcanic
But okay, but
processes.
who are you getting again? This is the
That's
problem.
actually that's from a U.S. government website.
Yes, I understand. What I'm saying is, who are like? I don't believe the scientists, Pat. So how can I believe somebody who says they're a scientist and then puts that on there?
I'm just saying that's what they say is the accuracy is
Yeah.
50,000 years.
Yeah,
Because
that's why I go to the ice cores, because ice core dating is.
but you believe that, but then you won't believe American history.
Cycle.
So I just disagree with some of them too, because they also believe the world's going to end in however much time, and then they're always wrong. Or the polar ice caps will melt in this amount of time, and then they were wrong. I can't believe these people.
Yeah.
I can't. They have to be right for me to believe them on at least something. And the only thing they claim to be right about is the dating. And I'm like, okay, well, if that's the only thing you're correct about, I'm just not going to believe that. Now you can say that that's stupid. Sure, call me stupid. I don't care. Genesis 11 verse 8. This is the Tower of Babel. It's when God completely just takes Pangea and rips it apart. So the Lord, this after he confused their language, and then he says, so the Lord dispersed them from there over the face of all the earth, and they left off the building, and they left off building the city. That was the Tower of Babel, because it was one city. But that's when God, I believe, at this point, rips Pangea apart and disperses them. Not in some slow, and like you can say, well, there would be evidence of that. God doesn't have to have these things. He can heal the earth. He can move things and then put things back how he wants it. Now, you say, again, I'm saying this is what I believe, and everyone can say it's stupid. I just believe in a God. If you say believing in a God's stupid, fine. But don't say a God, somebody who lives outside space, time, whatever, who can do anything he wants, can't do it. Like, I don't put them in that box. But at the same time, I agree that, that people's arguments, I'm not saying they're invalid. I'm just saying I disagree with how it happened. And why do we believe one thing, dating processes, but then they're wrong about like billions of other things? I can't accept that. That, or they're right about the dating, fine, and God just made it that way. And what's wrong with saying that?
I mean, don't get me wrong. I believe that there is a God, but I believe that there are lots of inaccuracies. The historical records, potentially due to the people of the time having a very low level understanding of world in general.
Yeah, I'd say until after Abraham, I would say they have a full understanding of the world. That's because
How,
they literally were a part of building it.
look how far the world's changes just when it comes to medicine and shit.
Yeah. I, that's the only thing I'd say. Now, I do, yeah, the science for medicine and everything. I have no qualms or disputes on any of that. I think it's stupid to
The
claim
COVID
God
vaccination.
to claim God will heal you for something that a doctor can do. Like that's stupid. God created doctors to help you. Go to the doctor, you stupid person. Like that stuff I don't understand. But the history stuff, it's too hard. There's too many holes, and y'all are and not y'all. I say that
Not saying
when I
you
say
below
y'all,
me.
yeah, when I say y'all, I mean like the education system, and then also scientists. Just say believe us on this one thing, whether it's dating, whether it's anything, and it's like I understand there is science behind it. I'm not saying there isn't, but I also am saying that you don't know if there's any one thing that could have affected this to make it look one way or the other. And also, I do believe that the world is millions, billions of years old. I just believe God, like I said, made it appear that way in the beginning. But that's just because I believe the world wasn't inhabitable so long ago, especially since the fossil record is so broken. There's not any places that the fossil record exists, except for like one spot they dig down and then they take that and make it for everything. And
Where you
that
getting it from?
what the
Where you
fossil
get that?
record? Where do
Like
they get the fossil record from?
no, where do you what you're saying about the fossil record? Where are you getting this from?
Where do you get the fossil record?
Where are you getting this information on the fossil record? Is what I'm asking you.
That from my own study of I let me type into Google where is the fossil record from, and if they can't answer me, then it's not real. How about that? And you're saying, well, that's a stupid way to put it. And I'm like, okay, it's in sedimentary rock layers, particularly in areas exposed by erosion, rivers, and coastal cliffs.
I was gonna say one of the biggest ones is like the Grand Canyon.
Yeah. And then I say to this, how do you know? How do you know something didn't happen that completely catastrophically changed that fossil record? Well, actually, wait. They're claiming
I've
that
talked to you
it
about this
did.
before.
They're claiming that it did, and that this is how, and they just want me to believe it.
Well, reason what they're saying that a lot of like the carbon and the fossil record stuff comes from is over like years and years and years, like between like different life and different things happening, layers of sediment, like you can see layers in the rock. And so when you find
Again,
like the Grand
same
Canyon
argument.
where you can see the layers, that's what they're saying is what the fact that you can
Well,
see
that
the layers is what they're basing all this off of.
Yeah, and I'm saying same argument of they don't know any catastrophic changes that could have
right,
happened.
but it the
That
different forms of evidence build off each other is the thing.
But I'm saying, what
Like
if
the
God took away?
strongest.
What if God just decided to put the evidence there? And I'm saying that's a dumb argument, but at the same time, you can't say no, he didn't do that. You just want to explain one part and then not explain anything else that I try to put up against it. And I get that. I'm like, I understand that y'all are trying not,
I
and,
mean, I
and
think it could
again,
be
I'm
a
saying,
stronger.
I'm saying when I say y'all, I don't mean you, but at the same time, I'm saying I get the stronger argument, but why does it need one? I don't understand the argument at
Well,
all.
if that's the argument, if why couldn't you just say the world
The
is
God
millions of years old,
made
but
I.
it was
That's what
set in motion by God?
I because he didn't just because dinosaurs lived with humans. And as far as the Bible, yes, in the Bible they did.
As far as the Bible goes, yeah, but I mean, just saying,
Nah, and I believe the Bible is inerrant.
accurate on that.
Yes, I believe it's completely accurate on that. But I
it's
also
not
believe that
completely inaccurate on that. But
I
that's what
also
you're
believe,
saying.
but I also believe that
Dinosaurs alive today.
I believe every dinosaur lived with humans. But I also believe that every dinosaur originally, not saying the whole time, originally was made up with vegetarianism. None of them died, none of them killed each other until the fall. And then God opened up the floodgates for death after that. But it was already opened up from the fall, but yeah, because there's so I'm not going to say there's evidence because y'all don't like that word and everything, but there is like frozen fossils and things of like saber-toothed tigers, vegetables in their stomach. Also with raptors, vegetables in their stomach. Big giant dinosaurs like the T-Rex, vegetables in their stomach. And then they just claim, or not even veggies, could be fruit, could be any plant. I don't care what it is. It could be even a plant from another dinosaur that happened to be in their stomach that's also in their stomach. It doesn't matter. They had the capacity to be vegetarians. And then they completely like tear out things like the T-Rex. Their teeth is not able to actually catch a living, breathing animal and rip it to shreds. Their teeth would fall out. The sockets of their teeth are way too
T-Rex were actually scavengers.
Yeah, they were scavengers. Anything that wasn't moving, they could eat off the ground and things. They would mostly find dead animals that were just and eat those. But they wouldn't just rip and tear because their teeth would come out. Now, where they
Teeth aren't designed to rip and tear.
what?
Teeth aren't designed to rip and tear.
That's what I mean. But every single movie that they're in has them.
Yeah, but that's a movie. Like
It's based off of. It is based off of T-Rex, like what they thought originally, and then it changed. They also believe that T-Rexes could run. They're not balanced for that.
Yeah, but they also, I mean, if I've seen dogs on two legs run, so if something lives their life on two legs, they can figure out how to run. But yeah. Also, in all those movies, everything just fits in the T-Rex mouth, so they just eat them in one bite anyway.
Yeah.
So yeah, it makes sense anyway. The only time, especially in the second Jurassic Park movie, you saw them actually tear apart a body was two T-Rexes bit the same person and pulled them apart. That's about it because they're not designed to chew or tear.
Well, they're not even designed to do that. Their teeth would have ripped,
right?
Like as they were trying to pull it apart because they would have been tug of warring. But
again, it's a movie.
Yeah, I'm not basing it off the mid.
Rated?
No, they
even if they were, they're still not. They're not made to like. They're made to scavenge. If something off the ground or in the air that's not moving, they could take it off a tree or they could take it from the ground and chew on it and eat it. They could probably eat things whole, but they aren't that. They aren't made.
I read the study on T-Rex teeth, but they remind me of crocodile teeth, the way they're shaped. So I don't think they're actually made to like tear and shred. They're made to grab.
So the only living animal that has teeth similar to T-Rexes are Komodo dragons.
Oh, also scavengers. Well, not scavengers, but they eat dead things.
Again, that's according to. I'm gonna. So Cobalt, I'm gonna stop. Hopefully, this helps you a bit to realize that how much I just don't trust the scientific community on it. Even though their teeth are said to be like Komodo dragons, I haven't studied these, so I'm not gonna say I'm determining anything. I'm just saying, like, how do they know? If they claim it's billions of years old or millions or whatever, I don't care how many years old. I don't care on the T-Rex.
Well, the
If they
the thing is,
claim that,
Okami,
no, let
Okami.
me finish and then you go, okay? If they claim that, they have to figure out that there was nothing that could have affected it while it was fossilized at all, or even during the fossilization process or anything. Like they'd have to determine that nothing can, like, no weird chemical that only existed back then and doesn't exist now, there's no evidence of it anywhere, that wasn't in their teeth and dissipated. They'd have to, for me, do that, but they can't, because they claim the billion and millions of years old argument. I'm not claiming that. And I believe in real study, and I just take the dating part out of it. I quit dating things as my big thing on that one. But go ahead, Pat.
Well, Okami, it's not that they had to they prove it's like, let's say even what you're saying that dinosaurs live with people, it's not so much that the age affected. It's just when teeth are shaped a certain way, there's patterns amongst all kinds of creatures that follow a pattern, and teeth shaped that way are similar to what the Komodo dragon have. Like, it's similar. Things happen. Same thing with shark teeth and
So
fish
there was
teeth
no
and
chemical that could have existed only back then, and no evidence
well,
of
no.
it exists
Well,
now.
let's go off your
Yeah,
principle, saying that dinosaurs lived amongst people. Then yes, they're shaped
yeah,
like Komodo dragon teeth. That's what they're just saying. And
exactly.
well,
I'm fine with that. I just don't like the dating part.
okay, well, we're already been talking about the dating. We're just talking about what their teeth are used for. Their teeth
Correct,
weren't
but
designed to be like a Komodo dragons.
true. Yeah,
Komodo, Komodo
like
dragons don't hunt. They ambush and then they wait for their prey to die.
I agree. I'm fine with that. What I was pointing out,
Yeah, so like
what I
their
was,
teeth aren't designed for like eating living creatures. It's designed to tear
yeah,
apart body
yeah.
basically and eat it.
It's just pure grip strength.
But I,
They're made to grab.
but I also would say, like, it's millions of years old. How do you know this? And there's no answer for that.
Just by the shape, because even like I said, shark teeth that have been found that have been buried for 500 or 600 years. Well, they have similar shapes to other sharks' teeth, so this shark tooth must have hunted this way this shark did because their teeth are the same shape. It's just
I you're
when things are built a certain way, they tend to have similar
okay. I
purposes.
don't think you're hearing the argument that I had, Pat, and that's
So
fine. And I don't
With your
care.
argument is that it would not fundamentally change the shape of the tooth.
Yeah, and not just the shape,
Unless
but how
there
they
was a
hunt.
chemical that did it, and we don't know
The
about it.
chemical would only make the tooth smaller, not
Yeah.
fundamentally change it.
Well,
Unless there was a chemical that could.
Not just the shape of Kami, but also how they're situated in the mouse also affects how they hunt and stuff.
But
So
no, when
you
I
say when you say
okay,
the same, let me finish, Okami. When you say the same pattern of these type of teeth, then well, they must have used these teeth in this way because of the not just the shape but the pattern.
okay, y'all still aren't hearing me. My argument is not about the teeth,
Yeah,
or
you're
even about
well,
the.
could it be chemically affected? What I'm saying is, even if it wasn't
No,
chemically
you're
affected,
still not
the way
hearing
they
me.
sit in the mouth are the same.
You're still not hearing me. And I think y'all are going about a different argument than I am. My argument is nothing to do with about the teeth, because in my argument, the T-Rex and the Komodo dragon, yes, have the same teeth as far as scientific study go. That's all completely fine. That's my argument. It's in there. My argument is you can't make something millions of years old and then say it's the same shape or anything without knowing from millions of years ago. Now, you can try and say that because it was petrified or fossilized so well that it just stayed like that for millions and billions of years or whatever. But that's a stupid argument because anything can change. Anything.
That's the thing.
Even fossils can change. Fossils can change.
Understanding how a chemical would erode something over time is something that we know, and it would not.
I'm not saying that. I'm not. But Cobalt, I'm not saying that we've not studied anything for millions of years. So we literally can't take anything in our whole realm of existence and say this happened a million years ago.
And Okami,
Because it
the whole
hasn't
point
been
of
studied for a million years.
the whole point of
Now,
Aru is pattern recognition. Like you can't just
okay,
assume when it's happening over and over again.
I can if it's never happened before. Never
Just said when it
millions
happens
of
over and over and
no
over again.
millions of years have never happened before. In my opinion, that's y'all keep arguing this thing that I am not arguing at all. I'm never arguing that
Dude,
something.
they're arguing how they're similar to Komodo dragon teeth, and I'm
No, no,
saying
no.
this is
That
pattern recognition. That's the argument. You're not understanding it.
no, no, no. That okay. And what did I say? In my argument, that's completely correct.
Okay.
What you said is correct. My argument has nothing to do with that at all. It has to do with from millions of years ago to now, we know nothing because there's never been a million years. We haven't studied it. We don't know from millions of years to now. Now, you want to say 4 to 1,000? I'll try to accept that, but we haven't even studied things from 4,000 years ago to now because we didn't live back then. We didn't have studies from back then. We don't know.
We know that icebergs.
We think.
Have undergone 1 million annual heat.
We think.
Cycles.
How do you know? You weren't there.
You can see how the cycles form each layer.
Over a million years? Over a million years you have. You have. Over a million years, Cobalt. You're a million years old.
If you see the cycles for 1,000, then you can extrapolate.
You think you can't. That's okay. No. You want to know.
Of those cycles have happened. You don't know how many years it took for that million cycles to happen. That is the only thing that could be different based off the way it happened.
I disagree, but that's because I believe that, like, call me environmentalist. I believe that things changing completely changes everything. Well, yeah. Well, I mean, to heck with this world to me, but I also believe that, like, the world affecting things 6,000 years from just a volcanic eruption. Okay, that means that there could have been 20,000 of volcanic eruptions around the whole world and we wouldn't have known about it. Now we're going to say, well, there's no volcanoes or whatever, but that's over millions of years. This earth changes, man. We can't just say over a million years we studied, we know this, when we have no evidence of it. Like we say that we study the layers. Now, I disagree. We've studied it for 1,000 years. We've only studied them for like 80. Because that's as far back as our research goes. But I can't accept that you say something's a million years just because we've studied it for however long and it hasn't changed yet. Because what if something happens at year 100,030 that just completely changes everything? We wouldn't know. Now, is that a dumb argument? Sure, call it that. I don't care. It doesn't affect me. I'm saying that that's my pet peeve with the scientific community. And you see, it seems like y'all just believe in the scientific community and what they say at all times and everything. That's fine. I'm just saying I don't believe in that. Fine.
I believe the things that can be
studied over 100 years, and that's it. Over 100 years, and that's it. That's all you know. Now, if you're going to claim you know past that, then I'm going to call, bullshit, because we don't. Now, we can claim we guesstimate. I'm fine with saying that. You can guesstimate anything over millions of years. Fine. Say all that you want. You can't say you know. That's my problem with the scientific arguments and stuff like that.
Yeah, I would not say that an iceberg that shows 1 million heat and cooling cycles
to
is definitively 1 million years old, because we know that ice ages exist. There would not be a heat cycle during an ice age, so that could be even
unless
older.
it happened. So what if here's one thing that I'm saying about the flood thing is that what if it happened a million times during that 40-day span? Because that's how catastrophic the flood was. If y'all look at the verse in Genesis, the flood is not just water. The flood is volcanic eruptions, hellfire, literal, like, just like the worst, like almost a wave of rain where it's actually killing people probably when it hits the ground type thing. And now you're going to say, well, then how does Noah survive? And that's what I'm like, you're asking the questions that can only be answered by God. Like, I don't know. He doesn't even know. He didn't even have a window. He just shut himself in with all those animals and his family, and they probably sat there praying to God because they hear all this stuff going on. They hear screaming. They hear, like, no one knows what went on during the flood. We just have the account that says, like, just things were being destroyed and remade almost all over and over and over again.
First of all,
and that's the flood.
Executive of a drummer.
Yeah, but that's just the flood. We don't know what was happening during Pangea. We don't know what's happening, how God completely destroys Pangea in Genesis chapter 11. Does he cause volcanic eruptions from the ground just to shoot up through the platelets and then separate the earth that way? We don't know. Does he literally just reach out his godlike hands and rip it apart with fingers? We don't know. I'm just saying that's what I believe is what I can see on this text. And if you don't believe it, I never say that's a problem. I'm just saying it's hard for me to accept a millionaire's argument or anything when they don't know what happened. They just claim, oh, there's these many layers, therefore it must be that old. Like, well, what if the layers were all made in a year? How do you know that? Well, we wouldn't know that, we weren't there. But the rain. So the rain.
Stuff outside of the rain.
Oh, verse 11, because the translation is not good here. So in the 600th year of Noah's life, in the second month of the 7th day of the month, the same day, all the fountains of the great deep burst open. There is no telling what this means. Most people think this means the Earth's core. And that's most like scientific, like if you talk to a creationist scientist, they'll say like, yeah, God caused the Earth core to explode, causing massive, like just streams of magma everywhere. And then also streams of water from, the oceans and other things. Springs everywhere, because if there's a lot of magma going up, then that means there's hot springs shooting out from every direction. There's also, and then after that, it says, and rain fell upon the earth 40 days and 40 nights. That's verse 12. So, but then also it says in verse 11, after the deep burst open, the floodgates of the sky were opened. Also not something we know the full translation of. Most people believe that that's when God finally allowed rain and that rain didn't happen until just now. They'd never seen it before. But, like, again, these are not words that can be fully translated anymore. We don't know exactly what they mean right there. And no one will. I don't even know if Noah completely knew what he's saying at this point. I don't know if he's seeing it. He just hears it all going on, you know. And that's where that comes from. Now, am I saying that that's exactly how it happened? No, Cobalt. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that would explain quite a bit if God caused such a catastrophic event that it literally changed everything. All land, like that's literally what it's saying here, is that he caused such a catastrophic event. It kills everybody. You know, you'd think somebody'd survive if it was just rain 40 days and 40 nights. No. On that day, all the fountains of the deep burst forth and the windows of the heaven were open. We don't know what that means. And that's what I'm saying. This is a catastrophic event that we don't know about. We don't know exactly what happened, but most people that are in the creationist scientific community believe it's some sort of explosion of the Earth's core, controlled by God, but it's something so catastrophic we can't fathom. And so now at that point, like you're like, well, how do you know that? We don't. I'm never claiming anything like that. I'm just saying that, as in the same point, if we don't know,
Guys, be right back.
Somebody else, you know, I can't listen to somebody saying they do and not having, you know, the evidence from millions of years ago. They just say, well, this pattern shows it. I'm like, okay, you got a pattern. Nice. I'm just saying, like, you're telling me that nothing ever affects it. Okay. That's where I have some doubts. Then again, also in chapter 11, I believe it is, the Tower of Babel. So the Lord just dispersed them. We have no idea how, but I believe that's when Pangea was separated. That, or it could have happened during the flood. Like I said, we have no idea. And it's hard to make an argument either way for that one. I don't know on that. So does that help anybody there? Or at least help you understand where I'm coming from?
I mean, I understand where you're coming from, but it's not
Logical?
Doesn't really follow very well. I'm reading up on some stuff right now to see what their explanations are.
Well, but how would anyone know?
No, I'm looking at the religious explanations of the
Yeah.
ice stuff.
How would they know? That's the good question there. Like, I'm telling you, I don't know. If I did, I would love it. Again, I'm not saying that I'm the end all be all. I'm just saying that, like, Hebrews lost, man. They can say all they want about what they believe the word says. We just have the best we can do. But again, that's all. I mean, the Old Testament is not where most of my beliefs lie. It's just I choose to believe that the Bible is inerrant, that it's a historical text. And the only reason is because the rest of it is. So it's like, well, if the rest of it's true, at least going from Exodus, well, even early Genesis on, and that's not disputed. Like most historians won't dispute a lot of the Bible. They'll just dispute the timeline, like the dates and everything. They'll just, and that's fine. I don't have a problem with people like saying that, but they, a lot of times it's so accurate for places and who was kings, who wasn't kings, or who was in power, all that. So accurate that they actually use it as reference a lot of time. And it's one of the oldest texts known to man. That kind of helps. The Epic of Gilgamesh, this,
believe
and
very
Egypt.
little written on paper by man without explanations surrounding.
So do you not like the Dead Sea Scrolls at all? Because they weren't New Testament. They were Old Testament scrolls. Which I agree. I whenever they came out with the date for those, they were like, "Oh, these are 5,000 to 6,000 years old." I was like, "Okay." I'm not, like as much as I want to believe you, I'm not sure. But
What the trees with the breathing in carbon from a volcano that I was talking about earlier.
Anything written that long ago, definitely not.
yeah, well, they just say it's the right for the time period, and at the same time, that's another one of those things. I'm like, how do you know the time period? You weren't there. But what, Pat?
Nothing. I was wondering what you were talking about.
Oh, we were just like Cobalt's looking up the text now for Genesis, I'm guessing. And I'm just saying that my big argument is I don't know, and then other people claiming they know, and then add a million years to it kind of throws me off. But that was the basic thing. All right. So that's the Bible canon, essentially, is that we just take what's written most, the oldest texts, compare it to the newest ones. And then sometimes they do change words from time to time because we find new meanings or new words that are said to have been accepted as Hebrew or Aramaic. But these are kind of dead languages. Aramaic, not so much, but definitely Hebrew. So, and then
This is a dead language.
I wish I'd be so popular. I'd have so much money, man.
Pigs don't speak Latin. It's a dead language. Nobody will understand them.
All right. Well, Cobalt, you better stop me now before I move on.
You can go. I don't think there's anything else for us to talk about.
Yeah.
Recommendations.
No, I meant to the next topic.
Okay.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't think there's anything else for us to say on that topic.
Yeah. I mean, on that one, I think it's a big agree to disagree, and you can think I'm stupid all you want, and that's fine. I don't care. But
Wasn't taught their beliefs.
yeah, I have my explanations that make sense to me, and people don't like them, and I honestly don't care. It's okay. Now, if there's like completely, honestly, I will say this about the Bible canon and everything. No one really disputes the New Testament because it's so recent. But oh, dang it, I just lost it in my head. I just completely lost it. Oh well, I forget what I was going to say there. But we'll move on. LGBTQ AAI plus, or whatever they call it now, and Christianity. Old Testament, not very good for them. all the way up until the New Testament, which is still not good for them. God deemed it heretical, deemed it completely a sin for any of those. Now, when you like queer, okay, whatever that is, I'm not gonna, or androgynous, it doesn't matter. Everything you add to it doesn't matter. But the main ones, LGB and T, are definitely not biblical and do not go with Christianity. And so I have a hard time, especially because I'll go into some verses here. Romans 1, verse 18, the wrath of God is revealed from heaven against all ungodliness and unrighteousness of men, who by their unrighteousness suppress the truth. For what can be known of God is plain to them, because God has shown it to them. His invisible attributes have been clearly perceived ever since the creation of the world, in these things that have been made, so they are without excuse. All right, I'm on verse 21 now of Romans 1. For although they knew God, they did not honor him or give thanks to him, but they became futile in their thinking, and their foolish hearts were darkened. Claiming to be wise, they became fools, exchanged the glory of the immortal God for images resembling mortal man and birds and animals and creepy things. Creeping, not creepy, sorry. Verse 24, here's the big one. Therefore God gave them up to their lusts and their hearts to impurity, dishonoring of their bodies against themselves. They exchanged the truth of God for a lie, worshipped and served the creation rather than the Creator. They gave themselves to dishonorable passions. Their women exchanged natural relations for those that are contrary to nature, meaning anything not a man. And the men likewise gave up natural relations with women and were consumed with passion for one another, men committing shameless acts with men and receiving in themselves the due penalty for their error. A lot of people say that's for AIDS. I'm not going to make that distinction. It's basically text.
The AIDS in humans didn't appear around like the 60s or 70s.
They don't see the thing is since technology, man, we don't know what's existed until we have the technology to actually test for it and give it a name. Like, how do we, you don't know things much. We just, we call, what's it called? Leprosy, but how do we know what leprosy is, Now we know, okay, now we can study it and everything. But that goes in the thing is like, it just didn't have a name back then. But at the same time, I'm not saying this is AIDS. AIDS might not have existed. He may be referring to just being stoned, because they still stoned people for that back then. I'm not claiming that, but that I'm just saying that that's what some people say. That's where the AIDS argument in the Bible comes in. I don't think I think it's just God giving up on homosexuals at that point. He was just like, okay, enough. I'm done trying to bring you back. And he let them, that's what this whole passage is saying, is he just let man do what they want and stop trying to change them. And that's where it goes from the Old Testament stops, with God's people, Israel, God trying to save Israel for so long and he gave them the rules and everything and tried to help them. And then the New Testament where he's like, all right, I've given up, man. I'm just sending my son to die for these people's sins, which technically was the plan all along, but he's distraught and just done with everybody, that if they don't accept Christ, then that's it. That's all you get. There's no other help. And now, I'm of the belief that Israel does get a second chance in the end, but that's a Revelations thing, and heaven knows. Only God knows what Revelations is about. pastors can try and claim, everyone can try and claim things, but my goodness, there's so much symbolism, you don't know what is real, what's not. So, but that's what it says in Romans 1 about homosexuality, or bestiality or anything else. But there are far more verses in the New Testament. If you just look up like homosexuality, it'll come up in this on blueletterbible.com. It'll come up in 1 Corinthians here. Do you not know the unrighteous will not inherit the kingdom of God? Do not deceive, neither is the sexual immoral, nor idolaters or adulterers, nor men who practice homosexuality. 1 Timothy 1:10, the sexual immoral men who practice homosexuality, enslavers, liars, perjurers, whatever else is contrary to sound doctrines. I guess I should read verse 9 as well. Verse 9 was the one before it. It's saying, understand this, that the law is not laid down for the just, but for the lawless, disobedient, for the ungodly sinners, for the unholy, profane, for those who strike their fathers, mothers, murderers, and then it goes into the sexual immoral men who practice homosexualities, enslavers, liars, perjurers, whatever else is contrary to sound doctrine.
I don't think anyone's going to argue the one that's against you, because it kind of comes back to what you're saying, how different sects of Christianity, where like the Catholics, the Baptists, there's going to be churches that do allow homosexuality. So it's just a matter of you solidifying your beliefs, which I don't really have an argument against.
Well,
it's your beliefs on this one.
I just don't believe they can be Christians, but I don't have, and that's something that's weird to me. Now, can a person who claims homosexuality be a Christian? Yeah. But can they practice it? That's another, because that's like just spitting in the face of what you believe. I don't know about that one, because I've met people who say they're homosexual, they're attracted to the same sex, but they will not act on it because they believe it's a sin. And I believe I'll see them in heaven with me someday, because the Bible doesn't have anything against people who have desires. The Bible has something against people who act on them. So now people will be like, well, what about, what Jesus says, if you lust for a man then you've already committed adultery in your heart and stuff. And it's like, well, or a woman, sorry, not a man. If you lust for a woman, it's like, okay, now you're trying to get into the nuance of what he's saying, what he's claiming in that instance, and this huge sermon that you're not referencing the rest of, is he's telling you, don't accept people for their depravity. Like, if a guy, I don't know, I kind of allude to, that's where masturbation and other stuff comes in. Yeah, that's what I believe he's talking about more so there than the rest of it. But if y'all want to get into that, we can. It's just I feel like that's not unless people have questions, ask me. I don't care. I'll answer anything. What's wrong with masturbation? You're not.
Never been clarified to me.
Oh, you're thinking of somebody other than your wife?
No, I'm just saying. Like that, I've always heard that masturbation is sin, but nobody's ever clarified to me what part of it is a sin.
That's it. You're just thinking of someone other than your wife.
Well, if you're masturbating while thinking about your wife.
Oh, there's a good chance that could be allowed. I don't see anything against it. I don't. Yeah, I don't. It's just you're not married, so like I don't.
If your thoughts would not be allowed unless you're about to.
No.
What if you're not married and thinking about somebody?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's a lust. That's where lust comes in.
Now we're getting
But
silly.
at the same time, lust is allowed in marriage. And Jesus actually like puts that in there. He's like, yeah, go after your wife. He doesn't care. It's like that's what it was made for. But that's the hard part is, well, people,
That's what it's
what if I'm, what if I think about my girlfriend? It's like, well, you haven't committed yet, man. I get it. I'm a guy too. I've definitely fallen on this one. I'm not claiming to be 100% righteous on this one. I'm just saying, and I agree. I've sinned on this one. I'm not saying I haven't. That's not a claim that I make, but I will claim that it is wrong. But also, it's kind of weird to masturbate to your wife when you can just, have sex.
Well, there obviously to be circumstances, like somebody away on a trip, like business trip or something.
Well, then call her
Like
at least.
I'm pretty
Do
sure
it.
there are a bunch
Do
of
phone
Christians that
sex. What's wrong with that?
had to travel for a while. Yeah, but I mean, you still like phone sex. You still probably end up having to jerk it. So it happens.
Well, but at that point, it's I don't know if that's. I'm just saying that I think that's where the Bible doesn't have anything against that. When it's with your husband or your wife, I don't see anything where it has depravity for that at all. Now, maybe for BDSM or other stuff like that, we can try and make arguments for that as like being sexual immoral or something, but at the same time, if it's between a husband and wife and a husband and wife only, it's like the Bible doesn't state these things, so I'm not going to claim them.
It's not supposed to be for pleasure.
Yeah, I'm not. Well, no. The Bible literally states it's for pleasure. He has a whole book based on sex.
I said flatulation, as in like whipping and stuff. That's supposed to be repentance for sins, not for pleasure.
Well, I mean, in a sex thing, I don't know about that.
You follow.
I mean, when you think about it, the Song of Solomon or Song of Psalms is literally a whole book about how much Solomon wants to have his sex with his wife. So that's why most of the time when you're teaching kids, that book is not listed in the Bible. But
Solomon apparently has some things to say.
Oh yeah, he literally speaks of her breasts and her field of grass and other things like that. So yeah, it's pretty descriptive.
Think of like a famous actress, like you're reading the Book of Solomon narrated by this lady.
Yeah, I mean, hey, some girl I could actually see a lot of women getting into it. A Song of Solomon, like read by, I don't know, Chris Hemsworth or something. but yeah. But yeah, the Bible does not shy away from sex, so I never do either. On that, at least on the topic, I always thought that was strange that was a hard topic for Christians when the Bible is very, very descriptive on it.
They're smart enough to include.
I mean, if you believe in God, then you believe God made sex. So there's nothing wrong with it. No, sex education I disagree with, but that's because I don't like teaching kids sex. Like, just tell them what.
They apparently they put a guidebook in there for their partner.
Well, yeah, I guess so.
Christian version of the how to smooch.
He wrote a whole book. Well, it's mainly a letter for his one wife. There you go. But yeah, All right, next one. I put in here love, and that's it. The reason I put in here love is because I feel like that gets misstrued. Like love is love and other things like that. It kind of goes with the LGBTQ whatever. But it's like when the Bible talks about love, people have got to like really figure out which one they're talking about, because the Bible's very descriptive, partially because Greek is very descriptive when it comes to love, and the guys put specific words for in specific spots when they were talking about God or Jesus being love, or even when Jesus said, um, he's the way and the truth and life, and that he loves all, or even God so loved the world that he gave his only son. All that, the word for love and all this is very descriptive in the Greek translations. But in the English, people just throw that word around, and it shouldn't be. Eros is erotic love, and it's not used that often in the Bible at all. Well, I should say in the New Testament. In the Old Testament, it was kind of used quite a bit because the Song of Songs is this, or the Song of Solomon. But also Psalms exists, and David puts in a few love letters in there and stuff like that. But Eros is not used that often in the New Testament. And therefore, when speaking about love, they're not talking about sex most of the time. And then also, when speaking about God, they use a lot of times agape, or I think it's sturgeon, which is a love that passes all understanding. And it doesn't mean kissy, erotic love. It means a love we literally can't understand. We don't know why God sent his son. He loves us so much we can't even fathom it. A lot of times when it's referring to other Christians, and when, like, if Paul's writing a letter to Timothy and he says, I love you, or I love this church, or it's phileo, or a brotherly love, or a familial love. Sometimes it is agape or sturgeon. It's a love that they can't explain, but a love they have for those people. But I always thought that was weird when we say love, and like love is love, the LGBTQ stuff, that throws me way off, because that's not, the Bible does not have anything to do with that. And they actually
don't even believe that.
Yeah, I agree. I agree, but I hate it being spewed around everywhere. But I also, Cobalt, I will say that I don't think they agree with that down south, but up here, like one of my friends who's a good friend for a while, like just went off on a tangent about how love is love and we shouldn't, go up against LGBTQ people. They can be Christians too. They can love Jesus and love each other. And then they go to a pride parade where a guy is dancing in his underwear on the street because love is love. And I'm like, okay, you don't understand the Bible. You don't understand what it says when love, you don't understand which love it is that the Bible's talking about half the time. And so that's the hard part, is that it is not understood a lot. But I would say down south they have a lot better
Well,
outlook on that.
More along the lines of like, there's the people that'll tell you like, date a trans person, like, what's wrong with you? But then if you ask them to do the same, it's like, oh, I'm just not attracted.
Yeah.
Because of that.
I'm literally talking about somebody like that.
It's like, so I'm also not. And they're like,
Yeah.
but that's because you're a bad person. It's like, oh, okay, double standards, got it. Or they'll be like, they believe in open relationships unless you're in a relationship with multiple, then that's a bad thing.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff.
Yeah, and I would say this person probably believes that they can do that. Or at least that others can do that. We shouldn't judge them for it. But and that's another spot. I didn't put it in here, but it was also kind of included in love. Judging others is part of Christianity. You may, but at the same time, I wonder what people think when we say, you know, do not judge is in the Bible. It's like, well, if you read that verse and the context in it, first of all, he's telling people to judge everybody, literally judge them. He's just saying that if you do it, you got to put yourself in the same boat. And actually, let me go to that verse, because that is let me do not judge. And then the KJV is like, lest you be judged. But that's not the actual translation. Let me find it. Oh, dang it. I have to look in the KJV because it's not written that way in the rest of them.
I kind of want to see that one, but I do think that is one of the most commonly portions of the Bible.
Do not judge. Bible verse, Matthew 7:1. Okay. I'm surprised I don't have that one memorized, but all right. Matthew 7:1. Let me get it off the KJV. I can't stand that. All right. Matthew 7 verse 1 says, "Judge not, that you be not judged." I think a better translation, even though I'm not, a scholar on this, would be like, do not judge somebody unless you want to be judged in the same way. Because then it says in verse 2, "For with the judgment you pronounce, you will also be judged, and the measure you use will also be measured to you." And then he says, "Why do you see a speck in your brother's eye, and then you have a log in your own eye?" And here's where people just throw it at there. That's where they stop. But it continues. Literally, Jesus is saying, he says in verse 4, "How can you say to your brother, let me take the speck out of your eye, where's the log in your eye? You hypocrite. Just take the log out of your own eye, then you can clearly see to take it out of your brother's eye."
Gotta hydrate.
Yeah, I saw it. But so he's literally saying, all right, go ahead and judge. You're good. Just make sure you do it to yourself. And then he says, and if you don't like it, well, then that just means you need to take something out of your life and then remove it out of somebody else's. So I always wondered why they stopped there on that one, but it's because they don't want to be judged. I get it. Now, at the same time, I think the church gets it wrong a lot, or other Christians, I should say, and they try to use that to judge non-Christians. Like, what are you doing? Like, people who don't believe in Jesus can't do anything to they're just living their life how they want to. I don't understand that one. It's like they're going out and drinking, and getting drunk and being alcoholics or whatever. Why does it matter? They don't believe in Jesus. They're going around having sex with whoever they want. Why does it matter? They don't believe in Jesus.
And he'll be there to judge them when they're
Yeah. All your job is just to tell them about Jesus. It's not to change what they do. Now, if they say they're a Christian, that's where I say all hell breaks loose on that one. Now you hold them to account, but then at the same time, you got to be ready for them to do it to you. So that's you got anything on that, Cobalt? Because I know you said you were had a question or something.
He more or less covered everything, I think.
Good. All right. Then lastly, we'll talk about the church, which is, I believe, way off nowadays. And sad to say, I think my own church, the one I attend, is also way off. But that's just kind of how it is. And it's not like it's bad. I just don't, it's not what the Bible's asking for. And that's because we have such descriptive things about what elders are, about deacons, about how we're supposed to share the finances and other things. It's all in there of how the early church did it. And for some reason, we just don't follow it. Like now, and then also the Catholic Church. I don't know why they say that was created by Peter. It doesn't make any sense. Peter just stayed in Jerusalem and preached to Jews most of the time. And then when he did go outside of that, that's when they say he went to Rome and built the church in where the Vatican lies and stuff like that. And it's like, no, he did all he could. So he went somewhere else and did the same thing there. Like, I think that where they go wrong with the Catholic Church a lot of times is that they put in a bunch of books, like the Book of Clement, and a few others. I think they also include the Book of Enoch in one of theirs, but there's several books that they include with the New Testament that are not necessarily wrong, but they're very like, what's the word for like geology? Like, they're very dependent on where the place was that they were trying to write this book for. And if you read the rest of the New Testament, every time Paul or Timothy writes a letter or like receives a letter, or when Jude writes, or when James, the brother of Christ, writes, it's always descriptive to the church as a whole. And yes, it's towards one thing, but it's never for just one, like, people. Like, anybody could take any of this to heart and put it to work. But then they take, like, here, let me look on the Catholic. What are the books that Catholics in the Catholic Bible? Here we go. Because it's been a way long since I've used this. Book of Tobit, Judith, Wisdom, Sirach, and Baruch, and Maccabees. Those are in Deuteronomy and other things. They have 7 books. And then let me see. Where's the other ones? Okay, they don't show the other. Why are they not showing that? That's weird. All right. Let me find these now. This is not the Catholic Bible. Why, Wikipedia, you were failing me. All right, it's going to take me a second. For some reason, it doesn't want to give me the description names for the ones in the New Testament, and it keeps giving me the old ones. And I know the old ones, but they have nothing to do with what Jesus teaches at all. Here we go. Letters to the Corinthians of Pope Clement. He's one of the first popes. That's one. Second Apostle of Clement's also included. Where there should be more, but I'm not finding them. So we'll just stick with the Clement. He addresses specifically one area, and then also addresses the Catholic Church, which has nothing to do with the way or what the original church had to do. And then what's the added book of Peter? I know there's one of those. Peter 1 and 2. The Gospel of Peter. Another one that's telling an account of a crucifixion and resurrection of Christ, but it's not included in the Bible. It's part of the Apocrypha or the Catholic Bible. So that's another one. But those things, they don't have many things wrong in there. They're geared toward different people and different geographical planes to help them understand the Bible and help them understand God. But honestly, it's torn apart a little bit of what the church is, especially the teachings of Calvin, which if you've been in church at any point in your life, you've probably heard tulip or Calvinism in a different form. And a lot of it's wrong. But because of that, churches have gone away from just being what I believe they should be, charity organizations that are literally run for free. So, and then we eat and get together, talk about Jesus, and go home.
It's supposed to be a place of worship.
No, not even that. Wasn't that back then. We just came together, told each other how it was going, and then we went back out and tried to get other people to become Christians. There was no.
The church place you pay for is the power bill.
Yeah. Like the only reason they had a singular place to go was so that they could save people from the government. That was it. They never really had, like most of the time it was built from somebody's house. Like if you just needed to be saved from the government, you went to Barnabas's house or Paul's house or whoever. Well, Paul didn't have a house, but you just went to their place. There was no church gathering. Actually, in the earliest ones, most of the time they met up at the synagogues and tried to convert the Jews.
That reminds me of some of the
and that's originally what became the church.
Like they got a few Korean Christians around here that they don't have a church; they just meet at somebody's house.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think I'm done. Unless there's more y'all have questions about.
I've seen like a couple places around here where they got some Koreans and they don't have like an official church. They just go to one of their houses. That's the largest house, and just have a kind of a session there.
Yeah, I would have fun at one of those. That'd be fun. Now, I mean the praise and worship stuff, I like, but like there wasn't Like preachers were not a thing. It was basically just somebody like Peter or Paul. Been 3 goblins.
Yes,
Goblins, these nuts.
no, no, no. That's Gishi's
Um,
Kabuki movie. You gotta go look at it.
okay.
It's like 3 goblins.
but yeah, the churches are weird. I don't agree with a lot of the like bylaws or anything. It's like, dude, you're nuts. Like you're supposed to just go out and do things. And then the only reason you do money is to help people. Like there's not supposed to be an organization where you just get paid to be a Christian. That's weird to me.
I
I mean,
feel you on that.
yeah, we had
Yeah,
people like,
non-profit.
yeah, well, I mean, yeah, it should be an actual nonprofit. And I agree with like preachers, like if they're actually doing the things that Paul and Peter did and things like that, then yeah,
Paul and Peter played bingo.
they did. They would have done anything, dude. Peter, Paul literally just went to prison for fun.
To be amongst his fellow man, huh?
No, he was just, anytime he got arrested, he would just be like, yeah, I was doing it. They were like, all right, throw him in prison. And he's like, okay.
Very
Now
nice.
I'm sure when he like got stoned and other things like that, it was not, happy go lucky, but he's like,
I'm a little miffed about that, sirs.
yeah, like it's not like he didn't do anything.
Yeah,
He was like, they're like, oh, but no, like anytime he was like brought before like the Roman Council, or he was brought before the Sanhedrin, which is a religious group of Israelites that were very set in stone about their laws, and they would punish people for them because the Roman government allowed it. They would ask him questions. He'd be like, "Yeah, I did it. What's wrong?" Like Jesus, Jesus raised from the dead, man. They'd be like, "Oh, how could he throw him in prison?" And he was like, "All right," and then he'd get out and go do it again. Like,
I mean, y'all just gave him food and shelter for a couple
yeah,
weeks.
and then he literally wrote a letter, which I'll have to look that up sometime. But he wrote one of his letters that's in the Bible is literally just saying, yeah, have some money ready for me when I get there, man. We got to go and talk to these people, and I need some money to do it. And I want to say that was one of the Corinthians, and he literally raised enough money to like help a whole area there. But that's the thing, is they would just say, give us money. They wouldn't have a weekly tithe or any, because that's Old Testament stuff, is a tithe. That is not in the New Testament. And it's not for the church. It's just something we do because we feel like we should. Let me see. Paul and Apostle Christ.
By the way, that reminds me, last time I talked to Dubla in voice chat, I kind of got him with D's nuts joke, and I ain't seen him since.
Oof.
I wasn't even intending to, but it just
Not a
came out
friend
so easy. I'm
anymore.
like, you know what? Well, he was kind of humming an Imagine Dragons songs. And I'm like, is that radioactive band? And I just kind of said that as a joke. He said, yeah, Imagine Dragons. And he said it so cleanly. I'm like, I got to do it. Imagine dragging these nuts across your face, and we still talked after that, but I ain't seen him since. I was like, dude, it was too easy. I couldn't pass it up. You can't blame me for this.
All your fault.
Slow hanging fruit, but you gotta dangle that in front of me. I'm gonna grab it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Here we go. Yeah, Second Corinthians, and it's chapter 8 and 9. He is he's trying to encourage them to be generous, but then he basically says, I'm coming, and I'm coming with a guy named Titus. Y'all are going to hold him up for a bit, and y'all are going to send him out with some money. And we're going to go to Judea and other places and preach the gospel, so we need some money. It's literally the Second Corinthians. I mean, the whole book of Second Corinthians is basically him telling them, we're coming, get the money. And then telling them, and this is why, and what you should do, and how it's good to give generously and everything. But, so I don't disagree with like giving money or having preachers or anything like that. It's just they should be doing the job then too. And a lot of times they're not. Because preaching to Christians is not what Christianity is about. Preaching to non-Christians is what we're supposed to do to get the gospel out. Now, since it's so saturated here in the States, I do believe it has changed quite a bit, but I don't think the job has ever changed. If someone doesn't know about Jesus, that's our job. That's been the job since year, like, what was it? Jesus died in like 26 AD or something like that. Close to there, give or take 5 to 10 years. Either way. Also, that's a weird thing that I always so noticed. People get confused. It's not before Christ and after death. It's before Common Era, and I forget what the AC stands for. It's like after. I mean, not AC. It's after Common Era, but it's DC meaning something else.
DC. It's always BC.
No, I'm sorry, BC, and then what's the AD? Sorry, what does AD mean? Anno Domini. That's wrong. That is not correct. Okay. No, Wikipedia has it wrong. Because Jesus wasn't even born in BC. They actually prove that. BC does not mean before Christ. It means before Common Era. It's a Roman era thing. And I forget what the transliteration for that is. There we go. BCE and CE are the actual ones. And then they changed it later when the Catholic Church came into power to BC and AD. So it is technically before Christ and after Christ, or Anno Domini, or after death. But technically, they changed it, and they didn't even get it right because that isn't when he was born and when he died. So, sadly, that's wrong. All right. Well, go into recommendations.
Oh, how I've been
What you
waiting
got?
for this. uh, I told you how recently there's been a lot of DC animated movies coming to YouTube for free with ads. I don't know if you have the paid version YouTube, it gets rid of the ads or not, but I digress.
I do.
And I don't know if it gets rid of the ads, so I don't know.
On what?
on the DC animated movies. There's one in particular. I feel like I don't. It doesn't show you how many times this movie's been watched, but I feel like more people need to watch it because it is one of the best Batman stories to ever come out, and it's the two-part series movies uh The Dark Knight Returns. It was uh it was written in the 80s. The general plot at the beginning of the movie is that the Justice League or all superheroes they stopped doing superhero work with accordance to the U.S. government like decades ago. But after some recent happenings, Batman decides to come out of retirement, and it's
You mean
fucking good.
these?
Let me see. I gotta pull. I don't have this.
This one is Son of Batman DCU.
No.
Well,
So
no,
Son
I
of
mean like
Batman's
there's a whole.
yeah.
I'm saying, is it these?
Probably so, but look for the Dark Knight Returns Part 1 and 2, and they are
Uh,
so fucking good, dude. Especially, I mean, they're both good.
Dark
They're
Knight Returns. Here we go.
if you like
Free, and I have
there you
no
go.
ads.
Awesome.
That's
I'm
what I
saying
was checking on.
if you'd enjoy anything Batman, that's definitely two movies you need to watch because they are really good. And the comics were written in the 80s. Kind of funny how a lot of the dialogue used back then, you realize like because there's also like people were like, oh, Batman's just this, blah blah blah. Like there's political discussions mentioned here and there, and a lot of the shit you hear people say today were still being said back then too in the 80s. So interesting.
Okay.
I mean, you know it's written in the 80s when somebody told Jim Gordon that he needs to watch eating the red meat. I'm like, oh, Lord.
I'm supposed to watch Eat the Red Meat now.
I mean,
I
more power
got
to
blood
you.
work. I got blood work back, and they said stop it.
I told you, man. You
So,
get your third, you gotta start watching that
so
cholesterol.
I'm gonna go on the carnivore diet and not stop it.
Just eat more chicken. No more
Nope,
fish.
all beef, man. Going full beef. I'm gonna prove them wrong. No, I'm just kidding.
3 years later, I need a heart transplant.
Yeah, no, I'm not gonna do that. I am gonna stop eating so much bread, though. I realized whenever they said like you got a high cholesterol, I was like, I kind of know, but but then when I looked at what causes, it, I was like, well, that's why. Too much bread.
Yeah, you definitely can't be eating too much bread. Like, it can really fuck you. A little bit's
Yeah.
fine, but a lot's really bad.
Well, I say too much bread. I really mean pasta. But yeah,
That too. Oh no, dude, I've gotten to where I had to if I do want to eat pasta, I have to portion and I try to use whole grain pasta.
I will
So
never do this. I will just eat pasta and then not apologize.
it's like, I only do it once a month.
I shall never apologize for eating pasta. Can't do it.
Anyway, Cobalt, you got a recommendation?
Nah.
He recommends church.
No, I got nothing.
Could recommend History of the Strongest Disciple Kenichi.
Then the new one that's coming out.
No, I mean it ain't out yet, so I can't recommend it. You gotta read the old one first. 61 volumes, Cobalt.
I was so sad when you put manga at the end of that. I was like, oh, it's like I will.
If the manga does well, we'll get an anime adaptation.
Isn't there stuff they didn't finish from the first one?
Yeah, but same thing for Negima. Negima got a series, and then Yuki Holder, which is basically the sequel to Negima, got an anime. So it doesn't mean they can't do the same thing with Kenichi.
Hmm. True, I guess. I don't know.
So what's your recommendation?
Um. Have I? I'm gonna recommend. So I'm gonna go off of my original thing of saying this. I'm recommending a very popular anime,
Oh no.
and it's because
I'm
I
supposed to
believe.
be obscure stuff.
Okay, then I'll. But chilling in my 30s, getting fired from the Demon Lord's army.
I never recommended that before. But I mean, you can recommend it.
Did
I'm just
you?
saying.
Let me
I
see.
think I did.
Let me see. I thought I searched for it, but maybe I put it some. Oh, you
I
were
might
did.
not have.
Never mind. Never mind. That's not my recommendation.
Well, I mean, you can recommend it too.
No, I can't. I'm not allowed. I
So
will
let's just stick.
recommend Spy Family.
I thought Fuji recommended that.
Did he?
Maybe. I don't know.
I didn't see it. I just looked it up. Let me.
See a lot of gifts for Spy Family.
Because they have such good reactions to everything. Yep, it's not been recommended yet.
Okay.
Oh, put your recommendations in mute chat.
Chat. Like, okay. Let's see. The Dark Knight Returns.
Yeah, we've been watching Spy Family. We're almost done with season 2. And it is amazing. Or season 3, I guess, now. I almost want to recommend Bane and Abyss.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know if I can recommend it to anybody because that anime just says out to hurt you.
It's not that bad. It's not.
How could they do that to the little girl, man? I knew she wasn't gonna make it to the movie. I still didn't want to see it.
The world may never know what girl he's talking about. But I don't know. It's not that bad.
Yeah. I'm just glad they whooped the old dude's ass. Thank God. Because he had that ass whooping coming. Not just for her, but for Mitty.
Yep. All right. Well, we'll end it here. See if there's anyone to raid.
Zen Bites is streaming Deadlock.
I have Deadlock, but I have not played it.
It's a free. It's a MOBA shooter, so yeah, I played it once just to try it. And, meh, not for me.
Sure. We'll send you all the Zen bites, but it's just Devin. Everyone call him Devin. Don't give him that satisfaction.
I'll say hello, Devin.
Well, let me make sure that's his actual name before I say. Yeah, it's been a while since I've talked to him, so.
Road to affiliate 48 of 50. He's trying to get affiliated. I ought to do that one day. I don't even know what you gotta do.
Did I miss
Okay.
the raid?
Not yet. We haven't sent it. I'm still trying to.
Confirm it's Devin.
Yeah, confirm it's Devin before we. There's lots of Devin, but then they don't ever say who it is. Yeah, that's Devin. Okay. I'm like, all right. So there you go. 3, 2, 1. The raid has been initiated, but it hasn't been sent yet. So
10 seconds.
in 6, 5, 4, 3. We'll see y'all later. Have a good day.
Bye bye.
We're not going there because that's the wrong Zen bites.
Oh no.
Apparently, I have to.
Channel.
Apparently, I have to put the correct capitalizations. That was weird. There we go. The picture of the cursed Pokemon there.
Yes.
Give him hell.
It's just in pajamas.
I got raided by Okami with 3. Thank you.